Welcome to the Healers Podcast, where we inspire and guide healers through business expansion. We give voice to incredibly abundant healers to share their stories. We dive into the quantum field to unlock the energies of conscious creation. We also develop digital tools to help you grow, which you can find on healers.com. I'm your host, Yuli, and I'm grateful you chose to join this space. Now let's go deep. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another insightful episode of the Healers Podcast. But before we dive in and I introduce our next guest, I really wanted to remind you something very important to us. I know so many of you message me and talk to me and tell me how much you love this podcast, but I really would love and appreciate for you to actually rate it on one of the platforms, whatever you're listening on, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever platform you use. Just go and do a quick rate to this podcast and leave a review if you feel inclined. That would be really amazing and allow us to help building our mission and bring you some amazing guests. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our next topic and our next incredible guest, Ruchi Pinniger. She is the founder and CEO of Watch Her Prosper, a sought-after small business financial guide and mentor, and author of the small business finance advice column, Ask Ruchi. After close to 20 years in the corporate world, primarily on Wall Street, she was called to work with women to ensure they live their most prosperous lives. Ruchi and her team at Watch Her Prosper take a holistic approach to working with her clients, providing financial guidance, business advisory, bookkeeping, and tax time readiness, all with a twist of spirituality and mindset. And that's what I love about her and can't wait to talk to her. And her work has served hundreds of women and has been featured in many reputable publications and media channels. And today we're going to explore the amazing and deep and important topic of prosperity for spiritual entrepreneurs. And as you know, I love to set my intention. And my intention today is to really provide tools and super practical, grounded advice that you can implement right now to create an immediate shift in your business. Ruchi, so great to have you. Please set your intention as well.
Yes, it is so good to be here. Thank you. My intention for today is very simple, that whatever we talk about, whatever comes up is exactly what your beautiful healers and listeners are meant to hear.
Love this so much. And I know it's for sure every episode, I hope that's always my hope that I will have some insightful beats and pieces that people can take and really resonate with them. So I would love to, it's such a big topic. Prosperity and abundance is really one of my favorite. And we've been having a whole abundant fall, what I call in this podcast, bringing amazing experts in the financial field. And you have a very unique perspective. First of all, your business name, even Watch Her Prosper, like boom, you don't have to introduce yourself. This is just an incredible mission. So can you just share in a concise way what exactly the mission and the philosophy behind this brand?
Absolutely. Really, for us, it's to help people see prosperity in a different way, in a much broader way, and to live their most beautiful, prosperous lives.
And what does it entail for business owners, especially, and for entrepreneurs, right? Because we all have kind of a different relationship with prosperity depending on where we are in our life. And I think it's somewhat maybe easier when you're on a path that, you have a certain career, you have a job, you have a set income. Things are more consistent, even though our world is full of changes and turmoil these days, but at least there's some level of consistency. Once you step on entrepreneurial path, right? Your relationship with prosperity, this is where I find that you really start building the relationship with prosperity. And this is where the challenges and blocks are being thrown at you. So how is that different for entrepreneurs?
That is so beautifully said, right? Because first of all, before I answer, and I promise I will answer, I want to just talk about prosperity and the meaning of prosperity. I want to I want to give it a definition that is not your typical definition. So may I ask you, Yuli, when you think about prosperity, just from a definition perspective, what do you think about?
Oh, I love how you challenge me. Those are my favorite episodes when it turns to be a self-healing session. Oh gosh, I worked so much on changing my prosperity mindset because, we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but I talked a lot about it on this podcast that I come from a background that I didn't know what money was until I was 15 because I grew up in a communist Russia. And money was just not, and prosperity was not in our vocabulary. So I really had to build it up. So for me today, and this is after years of practicing and working on my own beliefs, is really this feeling, I would say, really a feeling of fullness, of freedom, of unlimited possibilities. And, I've been so fortunate to actually get proofs of this feeling and see how this feeling works for me and get back, in multiplies, right? The more I put out this feeling, the more I cultivate it myself, I just get it multiplies and multiplies back. So that's for me, prosperity.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it was interesting, right? Because prosperity, as it's defined, we really think about financial success. But really, what I want to challenge people to do and really to think about is prosperity in a much broader way, right? Prosperity is about how you live in all aspects of your life. It's not just about the green stuff. It's about your spirituality, right? We have all these beautiful healers here. It's about your health. It's about your physical environment. It's about your work. It's about your relationships. And when you really focus on living your best self in all of those areas, that's when it all really flows in together, right? When you're focused on your relationships, then all these other beautiful things come out of the other areas. So just really broadening our perspective of prosperity, I think, is a really great way to start.
And I couldn't agree more. I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we will talk a lot about the money side of it today, but really everything we're going to talk about can be relatable in all areas of life. So let's dig in, right? You talked about as an entrepreneur, it's very different, right? You come from a corporate world, you come from having a regular paycheck. As an entrepreneur, we're really responsible for all of it, to bring all of that money in and to really build from there. So I think about this as quite a journey. So thinking about prosperity as a journey, there's multiple steps, right? First, we want to talk about our money. And that feels very simple. Me and you can have a conversation thinking about, let's say if you're in business with a partner, thinking about what your business goals are, what are your intentions? If you're in a relationship, talking to your partner or your spouse, what are our goals? When do we want to retire? But really, before you talk about these things with the other person, you want to really think about, what is my relationship with money? Because if you don't have a really clear relationship with your own self around money, then that conversation is not going to be productive.
100%. Yes. We have to
Yes.
start, we have to solve our own limiting beliefs and blocks. And that would be my next question, which we love exploring here on a podcast as well.
Yeah, that's right. We're definitely going to talk about those limiting beliefs as well. So thinking about this conversation and your own relationship with money, right? There's two states of being. There's the disempowering and the empowering. So on a daily basis, you can be having disempowering thoughts or empowering thoughts. Why I started this business is because I heard so many amazing people that had great skills, great business ideas, great passion. But what I kept hearing was, I'm so bad at the numbers. It's so hard to run a business. There's never any clients, right? So those are all those disempowering thoughts. And really thinking about when you're aware that you have those disempowering thoughts, when you're aware and you're paying attention, you can really impact how you're going about your day, right? You can notice those disempowering thoughts, you can interrupt those, and then you can choose a new thought. So think about it this way. A lot of us are walking around saying, oh, it's so hard to find clients. And you and I both know when you're walking around saying something like that, you're telling the universe that message. It's so hard to find clients. And so what's going to happen? It's going to be hard to find clients. But instead, we put our focus and attention on all of the clients out there. And we change that thought to clients are everywhere. I attract the ideal clients, right?
Yes.
The other thing,
can I just add the worst statement to me is like, I'm so bad at the business side of things. That to me, when I hear that, I just want to, lovingly embrace that person and tell them all the incredible things. And the funny part, I think I hear that a lot from women and men who already entrepreneurs and already have their businesses and have revenue. And it's amazing how much they don't recognize and they kind of deny that part. Sorry, yes, I just had to go on the tangent for a little bit.
Please, thank you. I mean, it's so true. It's so true. It's so hard to run a business. There's always so much to do. And then reframing, there's always time to do everything. I am time, right? And I'm so bad with money. I don't trust myself. How about I love money for what money can do? Every day I trust myself more and more, right? Just really being aware of those thoughts and choosing new thoughts is how we kind of really work to resolve some of that relationship with money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else do you find as kind of a common thread among spiritual entrepreneurs?
What I find is that spiritual entrepreneurs and healers are also human, and they also have a background and they have a story. And a lot of us, we allow those old stories to stay with us. And we don't even, many times it is subconscious, right? Because 95 to 97% of how we show up is subconscious. So what is going on with you? What is it that's happened that you are allowing to impact your prosperity? So I'll give you an example. I have a client, let's just call her Kelly. She and I have worked together for a long time. And in this work, what she started to realize as we went deeper into money, and she started to really feel very anxious, and she started to realize, what's going on and what just came up for me that I really had pushed down there and forgotten. When I was a teenager, my father said to me, "You'll never make it without my money."
Ooh, and that's deep.
It is deep. And she just let it go, right? She was 15. She didn't really understand what that even meant. And it wasn't until she was 50 that she realized this has impacted me my whole life. I've always felt like I needed someone to come in and save me and to take care of me. And it wasn't until she realized it that she was able to really transform herself. And it was in that she started to take control of her money and to really, honestly, during the pandemic, she had her best year ever because she found what was going on. What was that block? What had she been carrying with her all this time and allowing it to impact what was coming in, how she was valuing herself, if she was looking for someone to save her.
That's an incredible story. How do we uncover those blocks? What healing modality do we use to find those blocks?
A lot of times it's about self-reflection, right? When you're noticing that there's a theme, there's something going on. If you're making money and then it's just going and being spent, right? I've created with many clients, we create intentions and goals. And here's what we're going to bring in. Here's how we're going to raise our rates. Here's what we're going to do to market. And then that money comes in and flows and it goes right back out. When you start to see patterns in your behaviors, that's when you start to recognize them. And once you recognize them, that's how you really get to heal them. Making it safe in your body to hold money, making it safe to earn money. I love to also do visions with people, right? Create your vision, do some reflection of like, what do you want to become? Like, what do you see for yourself when you close your eyes and there are no limitations? Because you and I both know we are literally capable of doing anything we want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So really thinking about prosperity as that journey and really starting with those conversations and that relationship with your money is key. I think also looking at your numbers being aware of what's going on, because a lot of entrepreneurs have what we talked about with those stories of, I'm so bad at the numbers, I don't want to look at them. So they don't look at them. They get anxious, right? But really looking at them and understanding what is coming in and out. How are these impacting my life? How are these impacting my goals and my intentions? And having a sense of it is it can be healing, because you start to see that as you do this work to heal your relationship with money and those underlying beliefs, you start to get more and more comfortable. And like anything, the more we do, the more it becomes comfortable to us, and it becomes sort of more normalized in our brain as well.
Yeah, I think normalizing some of those things or some of those themes also a healthy exercise, right? I know also like a lot of people who are incredibly abundant, but they feel like, they waste money or they spend too much money. And like you said, money kind of like flows in and flows out. And then they have a lot of shame around that as well, right?
That's exactly right. That shame. So uncovering what is happening here. What is this? And so with my client, that's what we did. I have another one, who's talked often about as a little girl, she was at the mall with her parents. They were shopping. She was playing, her arcade games while she was waiting, and she put her little purse down next to her. And when she was done, she went to get her purse, and it was there, but it was empty. And so for her, she's been so impacted by that and realized as she's gotten older and really started to heal that moment in time, what it did to her was it made her feel unsafe with money. And so her whole life, she was living in a way where she was not feeling like she could charge enough, like she was not worthy, and just not safe with holding on to the money. So that really impacted her so much, her prosperity, her life. And looking at these things and being aware of them is I think the key. And then when you do that vision, you're thinking about what is missing. Like, if this is my vision, what is holding me back from getting there?
Yes. As you were just talking, I was going down memory lane. I got a little.
Tell me, share with us.
No, I'm just trying. I'm sure I have so many episodes that, influenced my relationship with money, and I try to be very aware of them. But, for me, what comes up now that I haven't solved yet. So this could be a live session. The whole theme of I've always been a solo female entrepreneur. And, in the startup world, you are expected to go and fundraise, and you see those stories about, men in business just do it so easily with men with less credentials than I have, go and raise millions of dollars just based on ideas. And this is a part that I myself personally challenged with my whole life, right? And the story that I'm telling myself that, I constantly try to change, but it's hard for female entrepreneurs to raise money. And I tell this story because it's true. This is the facts, right? If you look at statistics, like our chances, I think we get only like 5% of all venture capitalist funding these days. So just statistics. It's not even my story, right? How do we change that?
And, only 2% of women entrepreneurs make over $1 million. And 88% of them make under $100,000. That's why we're here doing this work, right?
Oh my God. I just had chills when you said that. This is just, wow. Yeah.
Take it in. Seriously, women, we have a very different relationship with money than men. We would rather talk about the details of our own debt than talk about money.
That is so true. So why is that? What do you see from your work and your perspective? Where is the root of the problem, and how can we proactively and productively start changing it?
Well, it starts with there's a lot of emotion attached to money, right? There's a lot, and you said this earlier, there's a lot of judgment and self-judgment, right? You see so many women up on those stages in the media looking confident, like they have it all together. But on the inside, there's so much other stuff. There's all of these stories and limiting beliefs and those thoughts that are in there. And so really working with yourself to change your thoughts and beliefs. So what I love to do with clients on the beliefs is really dig deeper with them and create those new beliefs. And I give them homework and I tell them, okay, every day, because a lot of us do, let me back up. A lot of us do mantras, right? You just say a mantra and that's it. And you move on. That doesn't do anything, not on its own, right? When you want to change, it's got to be in your body, not in your head. So really what has to happen is you have to feel differently. You have to feel the change within you so that your energy shifts. So that you essentially are telling your mind, this is a new way of being for me. So if you're thinking about your own limiting beliefs, and it could be what we talked about, it could be there's so many of them, but instead of the I'm so bad with money, I don't trust myself, there could be that I love money for what money can do. Every day I trust myself more and more. So what is it you want to believe now? I live in an abundant universe. It's safe to let money flow to me. So you want to, first of all, write that down every day. You want to say it out loud. And then you want to close your eyes and really visualize what that feels like. What does it feel like when you live in an abundant universe? And what does it feel like for it to be safe to let money flow to you? That's actually a really beautiful way to heal.
Yes, okay. I think we're all healing as you speak.
We're all healing. The other thing is go back to your little girl or your little boy and go back and talk to them. So inner child healings can be really beautiful and really freeing. So for example, when I talked about my client Kelly, for her, it's going back to her 15-year-old self. We could revisit that through an inner child freedom process. And we could really have her talk to her father and have a conversation and then tell her little girl what she really needs to hear and heal that in her. And that's a beautiful thing. And we have the tools in ourselves. We don't need others to heal us. We have those tools to be able to go back, close our eyes and go back to that moment in time and speak to our little girl, speak to our little boy and tell them exactly what they need to hear.
I love this so much. It is a beautiful exercise and I've done this multiple times and it was really incredible what happens when you just take the time to do that simple exercise and just sit with yourself and even your own memories. You don't have to do hypnosis or any of those advanced techniques. It's all in there, right?
Absolutely. Everything is within us. And that's the biggest thing. In our society, we rely a lot on other people, but your healers need to heal also because they're human and they're working all day to heal others. They need to be healed. And so they can do this themselves. They have it within them.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about healing our own limiting beliefs around money, one thing that also often comes up, and we discussed it a lot on the podcast, but I'm always curious to hear other opinions on that. The idea of healers charging for their services and the shame around charging for something that they have a gift for, they have this special skill. They want to help as many people as possible. They want to heal as many souls. And, obviously a lot of times healing services are not accessible for everyone. And there's this was just some of the reasons that people have around pricing their services or even the fact of charging for their services. What is your point of view of that?
I love that. Thank you. This is a big one, right? Because so many of us go into business where we're just undercharging. I think a lot of it is not valuing ourselves. In your case with healers, they feel that they have this beautiful gift and they want to help the world. And in reality, that's all true. It's all true. The thing is, if you're not charging, you can't make as deep of an impact. When you make more revenue, first of all, you can take care of yourself because your self-care is important. You need to be able to pay your rent and your mortgage, to live, to eat, to have time to heal. And if you're not charging, you're not able even to do that. So by charging and really allowing yourself to do that, you're making a bigger impact is really what's happening. And I want people to realize that when you start a business, you want to be profitable. And there's no shame around that. It's a beautiful thing. The more profit you make, the more you can impact the world, the more you can give, the more you can do.
Absolutely. And, with that also comes, you mentioned the idea of being profitable, right? And I think it's another struggle that a lot of business owners have, right? Is what is the right ratio of taking money out of business versus investing it back in the business? I think most business owners at some point, they're looking at expansion. They might have some ideas. Maybe it's getting a new, bigger office or leaving their home office and getting a proper space for their business. Maybe it's launching a new service, developing a course, and maybe it's just investing more in their own branding as they're ready to scale. So what is the right balance between true profitability, between paying yourself where you feel your life is comfortable and prosperous, and between that idea of expansion?
I love that question. It's so important for business owners, healers, entrepreneurs to plan their cash flow and think about and realize how aligned your business is with your personal from a financial perspective, right? So starting with, what do I need personally? Just start with that. What are your bills? What are your goals? What are your intentions? Think about what you need on a monthly basis. Think about your retirement, what you need for that, and to build your emergency fund. So incorporate that in. But really, when you look at your cash flow and your planning, you've got various aspects, right? You've got your revenue, which everyone talks about, and you've got your expenses, which are the basic things. And then in your accounting system or in your spreadsheet or wherever you're tracking that, you've got your net income. And a lot of people equate net income to cash flow, but it's very different. There's so much more to look at because your revenue and your expenses isn't the whole picture. So depending on the kind of structure you are as a company, you may be paying yourself just by taking a monthly draw or distribution. That's not in your profit and loss, right? You may be paying down old debt. That's not in your profit and loss. Your taxes, your personal taxes on your gain is not in your profit and loss. Building an emergency fund is not in your profit and loss. So taking into account all of these pieces and then, so revenue minus expenses, and then what's left to pay yourself, make sure you have taxes, building your emergency fund, paying any old debt or a plan for that, and then seeing what's left. And really, that can be something you're either putting into a growth fund or into new growth and investments. Like investments meaning, I want to hire an employee. I want to get a bigger office. So ensuring when you're thinking about the growth and the expansion, making sure that you have enough money coming in and out just for your current operation, and making sure that you have saved for all of these other areas like taxes and growing that emergency fund, and also paying yourself is really key. There's no magic number, but ensuring that there's enough and there's planning and that there's enough to do all of those things that you need to do. Because if you're thinking about, let's say, getting a bigger space or investing in branding, before you do that, I just want to say, have you saved for taxes? Because you don't want to have a new website or a new space and then get to next year when your taxes are due and have a big bill that you can't do anything with. So really the key is planning on all of it.
That's a solid advice. And I have to confess, as an entrepreneur, I've been a huge risk taker with many of my businesses. So my question is, where does it come in? Because for me, and again, it's just for me, I'm not giving anyone financial advice to be a risk taker, but what worked for me is kind of doing that expansion exercise before I'm actually ready and then pushing myself to get there and to achieve that goal. And when I find it that, the urgency is higher, kind of pushes me to do whatever it takes to get that revenue in, or, really kind of get creative, right? With the revenue channels, with the ideas, how that money comes in. And that worked well for me in the past, but it is more of it's not for the lighthearted.
That's right. It is not for the lighthearted. Risk aversion, how tolerant you are with risk is an individual thing. So that worked for you. There's other people that may be in a situation like that and they feel stifled and stuck and they can't get out of their own way. And all they do is stress all day with those negative, disempowering thoughts. So this is really an exercise for you of how comfortable are you with taking those risks without having the money in place to know that you can pay for them in the very short term in particular, right? So really, and everyone's got different scenarios. Some people have maybe a large personal savings and are willing to eat into that. And that's okay. I respect that, because if you know that this is going somewhere and you want to, put the faith in yourself and the trust in yourself and take that, if you will call it a risk, or, then it's okay. It's a personal choice. Not everyone has other resources to cut into. And some people have responsibilities to their families, and they actually, in order to pay for their child's education or to pay for their home and put a roof over their head, they simply need a certain amount of money. So this is a very individual thing, and there's no judgment. There should be no judgment, because everybody is different and it's okay and it's accepted. So my advice is plan ahead, create separate bank accounts. So you've got your regular operating account where your money's coming in, and, have maybe 2 separate accounts along with that. Have one for your tax savings, figure out with your accountant what's your tax rate, and then have another one for the growth, expansion / emergency fund, and think about what your goals are, and then start to really build that fund so the money's there anytime you need it. It's all yours.
That's a beautiful place to be in, right?
Yes. And going back to prosperity, when you see those bank accounts and you see that building and you get to tax time and you don't stress about that bill because you saved for it, it feels really good. And that energy carries into everything. It carries into your relationships. It carries into your physical environment. It carries into your work. It carries into how you show up for your healing clients.
Absolutely. I'm curious, as a prosperity expert, what are some of your own kind of rituals and routines that you practice daily or weekly or monthly that you can share with us?
Oh, I'd love to. So every day I wake up and I do some EFT tapping, and I do one that's from Brad Yates. It's a happy day. It's called Amazing Day, and it's just a few minutes, and I love it. And it puts a smile on my face. I do my belief work, and I do meditation. And some days it's a little less, in terms of time, but I really work to do it every day. I'm human too, so there's times I miss it. I also take breathing breaks throughout the day, because even if you do all that work in the morning, right, you're still going through your day as a human in this physical environment that doesn't always allow for grounding. So I like to take breathing breaks or walks and just get out in nature. I like to put on music and sing a song and just be playful and add levity to my day. And I think those are really beautiful ways. And when you're doing that, it is contagious too for those people around you. When you're grounded, whether it's your family at home or whether it's your clients in the office, it's contagious. They feel the energy.
Totally. And we can feel your energy right now. I wish you could see Ruchi, but she's been smiling through this entire interview, which, makes me very happy just to have this kind of positive energy, especially around the financial topic. I just find it to be so serious sometimes and so heavy. Why is that?
I think it's the judgment. It all goes back to the beliefs and the judgment. And look, I just want everyone to know we all have stories, right? We all have it. And who you've been with money, who you've been in your past is zero indication of who you're capable of becoming with money, right? So allow yourself this gift to know that anything is possible. You can get through whatever you're getting through. If you're feeling like this is so hard, if you're feeling like I have no idea what I'm doing, if you're feeling like you're in so much debt and there's never enough money. You can change all of that. Just start with the basics within yourself, with your new thoughts. Go back to your inner child, heal what needs to be healed, and just restart. It can be a rebirth for you, and get the help you need. There's beautiful, amazing people out there to support you. You don't have to do it alone. It's safe to ask for help.
Absolutely. That is a very, very beautiful advice. And, you've built an incredible career and you've been advising people on the subject so beautifully. And I'm curious, how did you come from, Wall Street to this beautiful place and found this energy flow?
Well, I was in my career for so many years, literally thinking, what more is there? I just knew I wanted to help people, but I literally had no idea. I was completely lost, to be frank with you. I had that traditional corporate career in education, climbed up the corporate ladder, got paid, got promoted, built a team, but I never really felt fulfilled, not on a regular daily basis, unless I was doing something in another area, like in our mentorship programs, in our women's network. And I finally had this opportunity to make a choice of, do I want to go back in corporate or what do I want to do? And actually, my first coach that I hired outside of corporate when I left gave me this beautiful piece of advice that I will never forget. When I was completely lost and was one of those people who needed control and needed to know what was next and how was I going to get there, not as spiritually minded as I am now in any way, she said to me, be open to the gifts and the messages from the universe, and you will find your way. And I heard that and I listened. And that is exactly what I did. And that is exactly when I started to hear all of these beautiful people that I talked about earlier, but all of these beautiful people that have businesses, that create these stories about how hard it is and how they're not good with the numbers and this and that and all of it. And I had my aha moment. I was like, wow, I can do this work. I actually, let me back up. So I heard all those stories. And in fact, one of my very good friends who happens to be a healer in business was one of those people that would say, it's so hard. I'm so bad at the money. She had been in business. I think it was probably 15 years at that point. She had hardly raised her rates. She wasn't even sure what she was making and what she was spending. It was all literally done on an envelope. And I said to her, let me help you. And I did. I started to go into her office because I had that break from my corporate career. And we started to look at what was going on. We started to look at what she was bringing in, what she was spending, what her processes were, what her rates were. We increased her rates. We got her on an accounting system. And she literally said to me after a few months, I feel like I fell in love with my business again.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So that is how it started. And then she started telling everyone, my friend Ruchi, she's doing this with me. It's so amazing. You need to meet her. And this other beautiful soul said, I want to meet her. And we had a consult and she shared all of her financial woes. I have debt. I don't know what I'm making. There's never enough. And I said, I think I can help you. And she got tears in her eyes and she said, I feel like an angel sent you.
Wow.
Exactly.
But you do need other messages after that, right?
I did not. I got tears in my eyes. That was my aha moment. And I said, wow. So this is it? This is how I can help people? I can take my skills from my corporate career, my financial and accounting career, and I can help them? Wait a minute. And that's how it started. That's how it was born 9 years ago.
That's an incredible story. I love this so much. And it's so interesting that you had it all in you already. You just didn't realize how valuable it is for people in this space.
Yes. So even those people who are here listening, who aren't yet healers, right? Who know that they have healing capability, but are trying to find their way. I just want them to know what's possible. You don't have to know it all. Just be open to the messages, be open and trust yourself and something beautiful can come out of that.
This is such amazing words of advice. And I loved our conversation. I love your energy. And I hope we made some shifts towards prosperity in our listeners. I'm sure I know I feel very light and hopeful and positive and optimistic around this subject after just talking to you. So thank you so much for bringing your wisdom to this podcast. And I hope to have you again one day.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so beautiful being here with all of you. And I also mentioned to you that for anyone who wants to continue on this journey, this prosperity journey, I have like a beautiful free workbook you can download. If you go to the website, iwanttoprosper.com, you will have an opportunity to download that. And I'd love to be in touch with you also over Instagram at Watch Her Prosper.
Amazing. And we'll put it in the show notes as well, so you guys have the link to download. Thank you so much again.